Okay, so we are about to embark on a rule that requires like an exercise in logic and reasoning, and we're also going to be breaking some rules that some of your teachers have taught you. The Awabis rule, this is about commas and when and if you have to use them, because sometimes you use them and sometimes you don't. Um, so I've got an acronym here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you write down the words that the acronym represents. So yeah, kind of. So here we go. Uh, although, as, when, whenever, unless, and I'm going to move this guy up because I got some room. Unless, because, instead of, so, and since. These all represent a class of words known as subordinating conjunctions. And basically, like like conjunctions are like and or link together phrases and clauses and stuff. And or are known as coordinating conjunctions. In other words, and or make sure everything is still equal. It doesn't matter if I were like Mr. Bailey, comma, Mr. McMullen, and Mr. West work at Northside. It didn't matter what order I said those names in, and links them all together and keeps them at the same level. But what makes subordinating conjunctions different is it links together two clauses, but it makes one unable to stand on its own as a sentence. And this is why we got to kind of go back to some of your middle school grammar stuff because people forget things or they were told rules that they still think of that actually are incorrect. And we're gonna go through this. So I'm gonna move the text box down so that I can scroll down. But does everybody have the list? All right, good. Subordinating conjunctions. Then let's take a look. In example 1A, we have here the word because at the beginning of a sentence. Now, how many of you have ever heard the rule, never begin a sentence with the word because? Yeah, you've heard that, right? It's false. Yes. So, going through, the fog was really thick this morning. This is known as a clause. The fog was really thick. That is what that has a subject and a verb. But it's linked to this because, and therefore, if I had put a period at the end of morning, that wouldn't fly. And I'm going to label this, and I'd like for you to do so. They call this a dependent clause. A clause is a phrase that has a subject and a verb, but it's dependent because it has the word because there. Now I'm going to kind of switch over colors. I like to use different colors. This right here could stand on its own as a sentence. It'd be like a school district to the south canceled school. We could actually put that there, start the sentence, and it would work. This is known as an independent clause. It can stand on its own as a sentence. But what you probably notice is right smack dab in the middle of this sentence is a comma. That is because if you start a sentence with a dependent clause, you have to pause somewhere in the middle of that sentence. And then after that, you need to have an independent clause to go with it. So then looking at the second example, yes, Antoine correctly pointed out that I flipped the order. When you have this in the middle, there's no pause. There's no reason to have a comma there. It simply goes through the situation. Does everybody have that written out? People in the back, do you have all those written out? Okay, good. Let's check it. So then example 2A, once again, another one of those subordinating conjunctions is at the front. Although Mr. Bailey thinks his jokes are funny, comma, he needs to get some new material. Yeah, or any teacher for that matter. So here we go. Once again, this is the dependent clause, and then over here we have the independent clause. So so is there any questions about the two examples that we did? No? Okay. So what I'm going to do then is, for example 3, A and B, write your own. And I'm going to scroll up very quickly here. Use the list and see about doing that. So with that said, I'm going to pause the recording.